This is As You Are. My name is Akazi. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. I wanted to speak today about something that I feel like a lot of artists go through, and it is a very confusing feeling, a very like, what is happening feeling. And I feel like it is so necessary for creatives and anybody who is on a dreamer path in their life to experience, because I feel like it is probably the only thing that actually keeps artists moving forward. And the thing I'm talking about is this like weird dissonance of like light and dark within creatives. And I know everybody kind of goes through, light and dark periods in their life, but like creatives specifically, like people who make art and who make things just in general, songs, paintings, poetry, whatever. It's like, I feel like creatives have to be massively open to source and to different things that are in more of an ethereal plane. And a lot of times I think a lot of the art that is created through us, because we're vessels, so a lot of the art that is created through us, I personally feel like comes from either a very light thing or a very dark thing. And depending on where you're at in your journey, I think that you either create from that light place, or you unknowingly create from that dark place, or both. And I think that creatives have to really, 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 really know themselves on a spiritual level, because it's like in the spiritual plane where we're 9 times out of 10 getting ideas. It's like this ethereal, intangible place where most of your ideas are coming from. And it's really important, I think, as a creative to know what kinds of ideas are being operated through you. And I think a lot of times when you're navigating that plane, and you're somebody who is highly receptive to gifts and ideas from an ethereal plane, I think that, a lot of times it comes with a lot of confusion because I think what actually makes creatives geniuses, this is just my theory on genius, but I don't think that it has really anything to do with what is produced by the person. Like, to everyone else looking outside in, like albums and paintings and these things that artists create, that like as a bystander or a consumer, like, yes, that is your genius, because that's what I can actively see in your life that is giving me as a consumer show tell that like you can make things that are worth of value, right? But I don't personally think that that's what a genius actually is. I think that a genius is somebody who is so deeply in touch with themselves, God, and their devils, and are so actively internally working on things that to the point where they can change anything about themselves at any time. And I think that like a real genius is like rooted in identity, like true identity of self, and the ability to constantly evolve that self in any plane. And I think, like Einstein has a quote, and this is not accurate because I'm really not looking at it right now when I'm saying this, but it's like you can't solve any problem from the same level that it's created, right? And I feel like a lot of times being a creative myself, like a big pattern in my life has been right before I'm about to level up on something, and it's never really an external leveling up. It's more of an internal leveling up. And anytime I'm about to do that, I get hit really, really hard with this crazy amount of darkness and confusion. And it's really annoying to navigate because if you've heard some of my past episodes, it's dark, you know? And but then like this weird thing happens on the other side of all of that darkness that like just things weirdly fall into place, and I can't really explain it. It's I guess I can't explain it. I guess the best way I could put it into words, if we're going to use God and the devil, let's just use that for a second here. But like, if the best way I can describe it is like the devil comes before God puts a blessing in your life, right? So it's like, for me personally, anytime God has done anything big in my life, the devil has tried to just completely wipe me out right before. And it usually has everything to do with my purpose. It's like anytime I take a step forward in my purpose or step forward in, being an artist and all that stuff, it's like this really, really dark thing just like really latches to me. And then I've learned, though, because it's been a pattern actually over years, that that means that something is on the other side of that. And that's really, really cool. So, yeah, I think a lot of artists like go through a lot of things, whether they're aware of it or not. And like, honestly, the artists that, or the creatives that haven't hit a level yet of like understanding that, a lot of your ideas, a lot of things that you create come from either a light place or a dark place. That awareness, I think, actually takes a lot of time and a lot of like diving deep, deep, deep into different levels of your consciousness. And it's not something that I think every creative actually is capable of doing. But I personally think that some of the great, great, great artists that have ever walked this earth have had to do a lot of that. Even some of the greatest like philosophers and stuff. It's just like they've gone through so many things in their life to get to these conclusions. But then it's like the fucked up thing is like the conclusion is ever evolving. Smart people hurt because smart people think a lot. But yeah, there's like this like weird confusion thing that happens when you're a creative, and it like never goes away. It's just like there. And like, I think over time you just learn to like become its friend and stop hating it so much. But it's definitely incredibly uncomfortable to feel. And like the best way I can describe it is just like this crazy amount of like just chaos. It happens in your mind. It happens outside of you. It's just like confusion. It's just utter confusion about life, purpose, things. And like I've had the very, very clear awareness and very clear like realization that, I'm not on a regular path. And I can more so now than ever really, really understand that and see that. And the path that I feel like I have been on is definitely a dreamer path. And when I'm in prayer and stuff, I always hear the story of Joseph. It's like, I guess, the closest thing I can put next to it. But to actually walk this path out has been quite the experience. And I think a lot of times in the dark or just by myself, a lot of people don't see the truth of what it's like to be a dreamer. Like just a lot of things a lot of things start in your mind, and then you have to like pull them out of your mind and put them into a physical space so other people can understand them. So like you spend a lot of your time in the early parts of what you're doing just getting the skills to be able to articulate the idea that you're being gifted with. And then once you finally hone in on enough skills to like really get the idea down and into a physical form for other people and here on earth, it's like then you have to like sell it or just get it into the right hands for certain things. And it's so interesting because it's like 9 times out of 10 the ideas come from your imagination, and your imagination is actually like one of the dopest things ever, because to me it's not just imagination. Your imagination is realities that are literally waiting for you. All you have to do is just vibrationally match them. All you have to do is just like be them, and it will happen. And but like before you can be them, it's like you have to like break apart all these things internally that don't serve you at the level that you're at, right? Like my biggest example is like there's been a huge shift that's happened inside of me, huge, and it's been painful. Like not even gonna front, it's been really fucking painful. I went through a lot of pain this year, and every time I know that the heat gets turned up with a lot of pain, I know that something crazy is on the other side of it. It's always just kind of been how it's worked in my life. And the cool thing, I guess, about that is like now the pattern is there, so the pain isn't purposeless. And I truly believe that, God allows certain things to happen so your character can be right, so you can hold and have capacity in your character to hold the dream that you've been given, or the vision for the dream that you've been given. I really, really, really think character means way more than anything. Because when you don't have character, you can't hold it. You think you can hold it, but you don't really, really take care of things for like a big picture. You really only take care of them for the short term. And my character throughout my story and my life has been worked on very, very hard by God. And in ways I can see like where it's beneficial. Because I've, even as of recently, I've met certain executives in this industry and certain people that I'm like, I think back in the day I would have idolized the hell out of. And I don't idolize anybody. And like, I don't say that from a place of like, I'm above everybody. That's not what I mean at all. It's just like, I've now had the realization that everybody is human. And yes, a lot of people have different experiences, and they're all moving throughout different experiences, and some have accomplished things that they will leave legacies on this earth that have, while we're here, has given earth something really dope to live by, and to just leave a legacy. But at the end of the day, everybody, no matter what level, I hate that. I hate saying level, because to me, truly, like there's really no such thing when it comes to like being a human. There's just different experiences that other people have had, and some of those we value more than others. But yeah, just being around certain people that I guess you could say in the physical have a different caliber of status. I don't know. I just like, I have these moments now where I sit in there and I'm like, I'll be sitting in these spaces with these people and I'll just be like, yeah, something shifted in me. 'Cause like, I don't idolize the shit out of anything or anybody, even my own music. Like, okay, cool. Like I write songs and I do shit like that. And like, I know the world's going to hear them. I know it. And like, I know that everybody is going to love them. Like, to be frank. And I don't know. I hope that along my journey, like, even if everybody's giving me praise and giving me the clout and all that, like I really do hope that I can like do my best to not like change for the worst. Because I think a lot of people who don't have character or just are floating in the wind and just go with the wind and go with what looks good and goes with what like they think is like gonna make them more successful because it looks bigger and better and has better numbers, or just, you know, like I've had opportunities to write songs for people who have millions of followers, and I've literally said no because I'm like, this person gives me no inspiration whatsoever, and like I don't always like, I don't know, I think I'm more confident enough in my own frame that like I don't have to do all the shit that is like, to me, pointless. Like, to me it's pointless. Like if it doesn't bring me joy, it's pointless. And like I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that because they're like, well, you have to get on, you have to get in certain spaces and all this stuff, but like God puts you on. God puts you on in the timing that you were supposed to be put on. God really does. You know, like we've seen it time and time again. Like I went back and listened to like Steve Harvey's story. I really like Steve Harvey. I think that, you know, he has a really interesting story about being a dreamer and like how, you know, doing it for God and just kind of the like ups and downs and the trials that he had to go through for years before he got into a status position for the world to see. And same thing with like Tyler Perry. He has a really interesting story too that like to me is awesome, because it's like once you're in position to be revealed to the world, I personally think that once you get there, it's not so much about like you being on to like be famous, to like, you know, fuck around and do and just be a fucking famous asshole. Like no, like I think that uh the gift of a platform is really a responsibility, and it's leadership, and it's a space where you can have a voice that is heard more so, and people will follow it, people will listen to what you have to say, uh and I think that that's why God works on certain people that are dreamers so hard, because it's like when I'm ready to bring you into your platform, you got to be ready to be the leader. You got to be ready to like know what it is that you stand for and not sway from it. And I hope that on my journey, like I managed to stay next to God, next to my source, regardless of whoever offers me what. You know, there's so many people in entertainment and so many people in this industry that will take money, and not all money is good money. It is not. And a lot of people will jump at there's so many opportunists. So many opportunists. And I think being an opportunist is such a dangerous place to be mentally, because you'll do anything, really, if it gets you to a certain height of status. And that's a dangerous place to be, because then anybody could offer you anything. It could come from good or bad. And a lot of times in the industry, it's not always great, you know. And you'll take it, not even realizing like there's a whole string attached to that shit. And like Dave Chappelle, he's one of the biggest people that came out and actually speaks out about it actively and openly, and you know, moved to Africa because of Hollywood. And I've seen Hollywood multiple times over, entertainment over, like just change like people that I was close to, and not change them for the better, man. Like fucking for real. Like I had a few friends that when I first moved out here, it became about them, just wholeheartedly all about them. And like for some reason, LA has an entertainment just has this, Hollywood, let me just say Hollywood, has this like mentality of like me, 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 me. Me, 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 me. And yeah, I don't really fuck with it. Like I really just honestly don't. I don't think that there's like a lot of substance in Hollywood, and a lot of the substance that is in Hollywood doesn't really get the light of day. So you have to play this fake fucking game to like be put on and get cosigns and do all this shit to like fucking just have your art be seen, which is like, it's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me. And people will do it. Shit, they will change their whole personality. They will change everything that they are just to get a taste of it, just to get a fucking seat at the table. Like, let me be a part of Hollywood. Let me come in here. And you know what? Like, some of the nicest, kindest, like down to earth people that I thought would never fucking change do. And then it's like, well, fuck. Were you always like this? Or are you just going through a season where your darkness is basically taking over you? Like, you're not compassionate, you're not empathetic, you're not loving, you're not all these things just because you're getting things from this industry. And then the most fucked up part is like, you any time in that industry, like, things can all go away in an instant. And that's why I think that like you have to be more cautious about how you treat people than you do about how you treat 100% yourself. Like, it's like a weird balance, but like, yes, you have to put yourself first in certain situations, but you also have to be so actively kind to everybody that you meet, because everybody will come back around. Everybody. And like, a lot of people just don't get that. Anyway, I'm rambling. I just moved from subject. I know I started this with like artists and like light and dark and dissonance and like all that stuff. But I do feel like a lot of people who are not in entertainment and are not in the industry and just are kind of consumers don't really understand Hollywood. I lived there for like 5-6 years. It is quite a fake place. And the culture is quite fake in a lot of ways. And yeah, it completely can take somebody who is nice and normal and like, you know, full of a dream, and it can literally take them to new heights they've never seen before. And then they become dick faces. And like, no one likes a dick face. Nobody likes a fucking dick face. But yeah, back to, I guess, my original thing that I was talking about. You know, being an artist is interesting. Being open to the ethereal is interesting. Getting gifts, getting downloads, getting ideas, getting songs, getting art pieces, getting just art from source is like a wild thing. And then also this dark thing that tries to use you as well is really, really interesting. And I don't know if people who are like just, you know, with their families, and I always look at people like my best friend is we have completely opposite lives, like completely. And like, she's married and has the house and just got pregnant and like all these really amazing things, and I'm like, I don't know. I always wonder if when I try to explain to her half the shit that I go through mentally and spiritually, she's like, yeah, dude, I don't know. I've never really like experienced that. And so sometimes then I like go off and I listen to like other people who are dreamers and who have followed their dreams and like really, really followed them. And just kind of the trials that they've gone through to get to those dreams. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, yeah, it's crazy. Like, just this mad difference in the internal game. So I hope that makes sense. I'm literally sitting in my house just talking into my mic right now. By the way, that's usually how most of my podcasts go. You guys get my private thoughts from time to time. But yeah, being an artist is fucking weird. Being smart is weird. Being open to like philosophy and God and a bunch of other things that make this world fucking tick is weird. Being a vessel is weird. Having a dark darkness devil thing fucking fuck with you is weird. Chaos is weird. The confusion is weird. The growth is weird. And sometimes you don't even know what the fuck you're doing, when the fuck you're doing it, how the fuck you're gonna ever make it happen. And then one day, like, you know, your life gets really fucking dark, and then all of a sudden you, the next day, show up to a fucking meeting that you got invited to, and boom, you're in with the CEO of, like, this mega company, and you're like, okay. That's happened to me a lot, like, especially when I was homeless. Like, I would literally be in my car with nothing, and then I would, like, meet all these CEOs. Like, I've sat in the room with the fucking whole board of Grammys. Like, yeah, it's confusing. I'm sorry, but being a dreamer is fucking confusing, and being an artist is fucking confusing, and following God is fucking confusing, and so is, you know, just creating. Because it's, yeah, you have the gift of creation and art in certain ways, but you also have, I think, some of the smartest artists in general have the realization that they are co-creation with God or the universe, whatever you would like to call it, with life. So we are here to constantly create life, and we do that in many different ways. And sometimes we create the opposite of life, and that's when things get dark and weird, and all of it is intertwined into making you great, which is the most fucked up mindfuck part. But yeah, that's my rant for today. I hope I did not talk your guys' ears off with this one. I don't know, I was just sitting at home today and was like, damn, I don't know. I need to talk. I need to say something. So, this is where it is. And I thank you guys for listening. I see how many people have been downloading my stuff. Thank you. You guys really do listen, which is fucking cool. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the, like, time to just throw me on in the background and just listen to me ramble about shit that happens in my life. And, like, my journey and, like, shit that I'm going through while I'm trying to fucking chase my dreams. And yeah, thanks for being a part of my journey in this way as well. You know, like, the music is one part, and there'll be more visual stuff coming out later, but I do think that this podcast is probably the most honest place you're going to get how I think. So yeah, this is As You Are. My name is Akazi, and thank you for listening.